Good day, good evening. Welcome to the Psychic Tarot Show here on the Beyond Mystic YouTube or Rumble channels every Saturday. Looking at this upcoming week, today is February the 15th, 2025. And wow, hard to believe, isn't it? Just saying that 2025, it still sounds almost bizarre to me somehow. So we're going to do an overview spread as we do every week, looking at what is in the cards connected to what's available for all of us in this next 7 days. Before we do that, I want to take a moment to remind you to please like, share, and subscribe right over here at the Beyond Mystic YouTube channel. You can find us on Rumble here. And you can book a session with me on the Beyond Mystic consultations page. You'll see a banner below with the coupon code to receive a 10% discount on your session. Let's jump into this week's reading. I was really grateful that I had that insight last week about the finances and about doing some budgeting and planning. I didn't get a lot of those details fully completed, but I got some steps moving in a good direction with a lot of those. Remember, we had all that Virgo energy last week, looking after all the little details of things. I feel like that's probably going to extend into this week. And there's a lot of energy in the air. These are extraordinary times. Let's see how our guides, meaning all of us together that are tuning in, the guides that are coming through this beautiful power neutral bandwidth of the heart, which is aligned with the greater good of all. We can look at all sorts of information through that lens. Let's see what's coming through that lens today. Starting off, we are deep diving. And I'm going to take a minute to talk about this. It feels like it. I just had a very, very powerful session with a client from mine in Europe who I've been working with for many years, and really feeling her going through a lot of very big things. Hi, Heather from Utah. Fire Within, Earth Dragon, John and Robin, Linda, Lisa, Marie, Debster Kimby, welcome, welcome. Feeling the energies gathering to support us. We're off to a pretty powerful start here with the devil in the house of Aries. So shadow work, big shadow work coming up. And this particular client was like, wow, I feel as though my life is coming to pieces. Now, she happened to be a Pisces, and I've been hearing this a lot lately from Pisces, so I can talk with Meg about that on our next As Above, So Below show on Tuesday. But just feeling, what is that Piscean energy about? Meg mentioned that there's a lot going on in the realm of Pisces right now. I think she even said for the first 6 months of this year of 2025. So Pisces is the place where all the shadow lives, right? It's where all our creativity lives as well. It's where our greatest hopes and dreams live. So one of the things I've also noticed in sessions lately is people are realizing they're so out of touch with their dreams. We've been so in the trenches, haven't we? Really, actually, for longer than 5 years, we've been in the trenches. Well, I mean, decades and even centuries, possibly even millennia, but really actively involved in making change and facing a lot of this dark material on the outside. We've been doing that now for a super long time. And it's almost as though this year, coming into 2025, we're going to be sort of pressing a little bit of a pause on the external focus and doing the internal work, because it's basically like we've stirred everything up and all this shadow subconscious material is coming to the surface. And in so many cases, what I see is people are feeling like everything is coming apart at the seams, but it's actually they're on the brink of really connecting excuse me, with their divine purpose, their divine, you know, higher frequency version of themselves. And of course, that doesn't happen overnight, right? We often have to go through a process that can be very painful and frightening. And we often have to release a lot of old things. We have to let go of a lot of what we held on to in terms of security and attachment. And also our identity and what we thought was the main priorities, how we strategized. So this is all up this week. And it's interesting that I just had actually yesterday and today a couple of sessions that reflected that. Okay, doubling up on the getting down to business, we've got the 5 of Swords in the House of Taurus. Security is feeling threatened. So when security gets threatened, we go into the places that aren't our highest version of ourselves. Yes, we go into the fearful places. It's so interesting because my voice is actually having a hard time clearing. So clearing energy this week, everybody. We are going to be doing clearing work. And you can get stuck in this 5 of Swords. This is around security, money, resources, material things. You can get stuck in that, or you can say, you know what, I'm going to use this time to clear, to energetically clear. It's a bit of that feeling that this too shall pass, and we're not going to get stuck in those pretzel knots of anxiety and fear. We can feel them, but we're not going to get pulled down by them. Gemini. Oh, wow. Right? Okay, so you could be shaking in your boots a little bit, and I'm saying this is the best thing that could happen. This is the breakdown to breakthrough. There's going to be a lot going on this week, folks. There's going to be a lot going on in the outer world, and it's going to be stimulating a lot going on in the inner world. Big stuff. Oh my gosh, another major arcana in the House of Home. In the House of Home and Sanctuary. Big activation, big wake-up call. And I'm still clearing it. Oh, wow. Wow. You know, this is actually reminding me of birth, the birth process, and also the dark hour before the dawn. So we know that there's going to be clarification about how we can work with this energy. But the first segment of this overview for this week looks like we're really going to be doing the breakdown to breakthrough. And this is both personal, internal, and external. Haha, a reprieve coming in our House of Virgo, our habits, our lifestyle, our health. This is an upgrade. This is like somehow all of this is forcing us to really manage ourselves through the things that we know serve us well. So this is healthy practices. You know, anything to do with physical exercise, diet. This is also about knowing that this phase will pass. I've had many clients over the last few months as well telling me about extraordinary experiences that they went through, either scary phenomena, physical symptoms, that sense of, everything's coming apart all at once. We're seeing it on the external stage as well, right? And somehow encouraging them to not get stuck there and to see this as a necessary kind of birthing process, and how quickly there can be a feeling of recovery. This is also a strong recovery card, and it's in our house of Virgo. So again, it's the little details, paying attention to our health, our diet, our habits, and all these little practical things is what's going to sort of walk you through this. Relationships are activated. So you can call this first quadrant of the basically it's the zodiac wheel. So it's the houses of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. This first quadrant is a lot about, I want to say, our kind of child selves, right? They say that Aries is literally sort of like the baby. And Taurus is like the toddler, and, Gemini is like the inquisitive 5-year-old, and Cancer is like the 6, 7, 8-year-old, very sensitive. And so that first little quadrant is like, it's our child selves that are going to be feeling anxious this week. And this is there could be a lot of work on bringing up stuff from your early childhood, like up to the age of, say, 10. Yeah, sort of elementary school years. There could be a lot of stuff that you've been literally holding on to an approach, a strategy for a life. You've been sort of in this lane, a lot of it conditioned and programmed from those first 9 years of life. Those scaffolds are coming down this week. There's so much that you're like, nope, I got to change this. I'm letting go of that. And it really gives us an opportunity with this judgment card in the house of Cancer, in our security, in our home and family. It gives us an opportunity. So many of you watching, you're the pioneers, you're the leaders in your family, in your friend circle, in your community. So we kind of have to go through that birth process first. And we're down to the part of it where we can't fix anything else outside until we work on what's inside. And I hear you. I know so many of you have done this your whole lives. You've been doing a lot of inner growth work. And yeah, it's kind of like saying, my whole life I've been loving and caring about this planet and the people I love, and I'm tired of it. And it's kind of like they're saying, work on healing and growth and all of that inner spiritual work is kind of like loving things. You don't get tired of it. You don't say, oh, I already did that. I gave love at the office, I loved and I'm done with love. It hasn't served me very well. It's like they're saying it's the kind of thing that you don't ever really stop. And if you're going to be an effective leader in these times, you've got the invitation to do a lot of work this life on personal development. We can only lead as well as how we have done our inner work. So no one is getting out of this easy this week. That's a blessing that we can look around and say we're all doing this in our own lane, in our own way, but we're all going through some personal crises this week. How is that going to play out in your personal life? How is it going to play out on the global stage? Well, there's a variety of different ways it can play out. But this is very encouraging to me because it feels like in the daily habits and lifestyle, we can keep keep in our lane, keep grounded, keep on track. What is that old statement? If you're going through hell, keep going. Don't, don't get stuck there. And there's a real activation around relationships this week. So just post that Leo full moon, right? A lot of creative energy. This is like the inner artist. So how can you look at relationships from almost like with the eyes of an artist? How can you look at designing your most important relationships more from a place of creativity than, just sort of locked into these old patterns? And yeah, it feels like we're all feeling a lot more courage. Sometimes I think also people look at this lineup and they say, oh, we must be really failing because this wouldn't be happening if we weren't. And it's actually the other way around. This is happening because we're healing and because we are expanding and becoming more co-creative in our design of our futures, of how we're going to heal and evolve on this planet. As we ascend, a lot of the old has to come down or get sort of stripped away. Wow. I'm going to jump over to your comments and just see how all of this is landing with so many of you. Feeling that big time. DigiBeam, yeah, I'm curious to see what the other half of the card pull will be as well. Well, be ready because next week we're all going to be running inner child issues. And it sounds like Jen's workshop is in order. I agree. Our child trauma is now coming up. Isn't this fascinating, right? That you start to notice how even the way, here at the Beyond Mystic Academy, we're launching these things. Of course, there's intention around the timing, but it just couldn't be more perfectly attuned, right? So I'm going to take a moment while we're talking about that, to just bring this back up and remind you about, I'm just going to see where it is. There it is, Beyond Mystic Academy. I'll share this inner child meditation. There we go, with Jens. Isn't this going to be so valuable for us? So look at that. And the price, 10% off, $10 US. I mean, good heavens, how amazing. Key benefits: heal emotional wounds, release childhood patterns that no longer serve you, reconnect with your inner self, work with multiple inner children to uncover deep-rooted emotions, fostering self-acceptance, integrating lost parts of yourself for greater wholeness. I mean, how incredible and how timely. Thank you, Jens, for offering this to us. And again, like I was saying, what I've been hearing in readings is that people are hitting these walls in their lives and thinking it's because they've done something wrong or they've made mistakes. And the amount of self-criticism that I hear, it just breaks my heart. I've been there, right? We've all been there. But it's so easy when we're going through stuff to just turn on ourselves and say, I must have really messed up because everyone else is doing great and I'm a mess. And, it was a long time ago that I had spiritual mentors that said, oh, when you're breaking down, that's a sign that you are evolving and you're getting stronger, and watch what comes next. That's what they always said. And I'd be like, I don't care what comes next. Nothing good could come after this, right? And and then I would be like, oh, holy, wow, thank you. Thank you to myself for not giving up, right? Yeah. Okay, let's keep going and see what else is coming up here. Scorpio, ready for this? Oh, man. I'm sorry, folks. Well, you know what? You can't say I'm all light and light and positive all the time. This is definitely a big, yeah, it's a big, heavy one for sure. You know, again, it's that moment. That's the moment. If you've ever talked to midwives that help people give birth, they say that that moment where the woman says, I can't do this. I'm completely, everything's wrong. And that is the moment where the birth is about to take place. So Sag next, another 9. Another 9. So we've got 9s, so far 2 9s and 1 10. So what does that tell you? 9s, the final step, the synthesis, the gathering up of everything. 10, the completion. So we are, again, the 11th hour, the gathering up, the completion energy. Well, pretty darn close, right? 90% of the way there. So this is the anxiety that emerges when we start to feel like we don't have control. But it's that place where we really come into our true power, because our true power is not about controlling the outer world. Our true power is about riding whatever comes with that inner strength. And this is where you learn what you're made of. You learn what your true power is. And yes, there's some anxiety. I just love that our relationships, you would think that this would be when we go through this, we would take it out on each other. According to this week, we're actually going to be rooting for each other. This will be a time where you'll be like, instead of turning on your spouse or, your closest allies, you're going to be like, seeing the goodness that, as they fall apart, you're going to be like, no, don't say that about yourself. You are this, you are that. Like, we're going to be in each other's corner this week. Isn't that beautiful? So beautiful. 9 of Wands in Sagittarius. Expansion, Jupiter, change. So spontaneity. It can feel like we're kind of at the end of our rope with this. And with that tower across from it in Gemini, it's sort of like the information that broke the camel's back, the straw that broke the camel's back. You see this guy, Leo, this is our, Leo, you can say it's your feeling of you're proud of yourself. You've done a great job. You're standing in the limelight. You're like taking a bow, and there's something about the straw that broke the camel's back this week, where something you might have felt really like you had it dialed and you were proud of yourself, you might feel like you've tripped on that thing, or it isn't going to work out the way you hoped. Can you see and can you repeat over and over to yourself this week, miles to go, that or better, right? What Janine used to always say, you were asking for something. And in every one of the readings lately, especially with these Pisces, where they're like, everything's coming apart, and I am always being shown that what's actually happening is their their spirit guides have done a bit of an intervention, and they're like, oh no, we're going to make sure you do this up leveling now. We're not going to let you wiggle out of it. You got to go big. So that could mean a change in a lot of areas. That could be really major change. Okay. Yeah. Straw man accounts being dismantled, right? Yeah. maybe something. So yeah, Sag energy looks like it has us 90% of the way there. And yet we're just sort of holding on, not sure what to do. I would say take a breather this week because look at this. Probably one of the best cards in this spread is the big picture, get a big picture perspective. Okay, I'm going to just slide this down a little bit. There it is. Get a big picture overview, bird's eye view, high vantage point. You know, sometimes this is also a kind of a strange prescription, but different spiritual mentors I've had over the years say that if you need this kind of energy, actually do something like this. Go somewhere this week where there's a lookout, where there's an expansive view, hike a mountain, go to the highest spot, the lookout tower, whatever it is, go and have a look. Actually, physically this week, get up high and look at the vast surroundings. And this is also like we're going to be seeing some kind of higher bird's eye view. Look at that. Judgment in the root, judgment down here in the house of Cancer, and Two of Wands up in Capricorn. So a really great time to zoom out and get the big picture. We're going to get some kind of big picture. If it's a disclosure, I mean, it could very well be. And there's something that's going to cause everyone to kind of take a breath and see the largeness of what's happening. Wow. Did you be saying the Justice card? Oh, did you just say that? Okay. Did everybody see this? Digibeen said, Justice card isn't there yet, and it's the next one I pulled. Are you psychic? Wow, right? There it is. There it is. Oh, wow. And it's in the house of Aquarius, So Justice, am I? Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. Justice in the house of Aquarius. So beautiful in the sense that Aquarius is about, well, for one thing, it's about a lot of things, but one of the things that's coming to mind for me is that it is about decentralization of power. It is about getting back to grassroots, getting into the collective energy. It is about humanitarian efforts, but at a grassroots level. And it is about futuristic, but it's not just AI and technology. It's actually like almost like a higher version of human potential. So all the technologies, not just the artificial intelligence or the robotic mechanical technology. It's about the spiritual technologies. It is about like the evolving version of what we are and what we can be. And this is karmic balance, things coming into karmic balance. So for many of us, this is the time, we're going to see things in this next week or two, world events, world disclosure. It's the time we've been waiting for. But at the same time, we forgot to realize that it wasn't just going to happen out there and we'd be sitting smugly at home going, I knew this was coming. It's going to be going on inside of us too. So that is what's maybe we weren't prepared for that. Maybe we were thinking it was out there that had to change, and we've already done the work and we can sit on our laurels and just kind of wait for everybody else to wake up. And I think the hard part for many of us is that we miss some things in our own lives. We all have areas that need a little cleaning up. Even though we thought we were way ahead of the game, we've always got more work to do. And this is going to affect us personally. So interesting, right? There's a compassion in that. And I think part of that compassion is that we're all going through it at the same time. Okay, let's see what is in Pisces. Oh. Yay, Pisces. Well, very interesting that I was talking about the Pisceans earlier, and this is beautiful. King of Pentacles in Pisces. Something about redesigning. Pisces are the artists as well. Leos are artists, Sagittarius are artists, but and when I say that, what I mean, we're all artists, but there are certain signs where they really evolve a lot in their artistry in this lifetime with that sun sign. This feels very much like designing new earth by putting your roots into, I want to say, changing your lifestyle to match your values. Pisces, you're going to lead us in this. And I'm not just talking about sun sign Pisces. I'm talking about people who have Pisces in their chart. I mean, I don't know all about how all that works. You can talk to Meg about this. But this Piscean energy, something about going back and reviewing, because Meg has talked about how we're in, what does she call it? The anaretic degree of Pisces. A lot of things are in that this next 6 months. We had what was that one that moved from was it Pluto moved out of Pisces into Aquarius? But a lot of the other planets are going through that final degree of Pisces this year, and it is a great sort of dredging up, doing a big review of everything. It goes along with the year of the snake, going through a deep inner process of transmutation, growing that new skin that pushes the old skin off. So the Piscean energy, it is, it is connected to Christ consciousness. So at its very finest, I mean, it also can relate to escapism and illusion and disorientation. But at its finest, it can bring us back to reality in terms of what has real value. The value of life, of nature, of animals and plants, and our material reality and what we make of it. So there's something so grounding about this. Your subconscious, the message, I want to say almost like the caption for this whole spread, is your subconscious is doing a really great job this week of clearing, flushing out the things that are not grounding you to your greatest version of yourself, to your true nature. The things that are ungrounded and based in that old system of, kind of power dominant slavery system. Your subconscious is working to get a lot of that programming out of you this week. And it could be disruptive and a little bit scary and anxiety ridden, but it's going to feel a lot better when we get on the other side of this. How long is that going to be? Okay, we've got 10 and 2 9s, 10 days, 9 or 10 days, 2 weeks to feel that we've risen above a lot of this. So really pay attention in the next 5 days. How you handle the next 5 days, because we could feel like our mental um, sense of security is kind of tanking in the next 5 days. So, that takes us to like Thursday of next week, right? But hang on, because the 4 days following that, if you cannot just get sort of disrupted and go down the self-sabotage route, the 4 days after that, so that would be day 6, 7, 8, and 9, it feels like there's already the promise of renewal for those of us that can hang on through this. So yeah, it is. It is big, and it's also, yeah, I'm hearing necessary. I'm hearing necessary. Um, hmm. Be gentle, but a tower of strength for those who waken. Yeah. Um, it's spring cleaning in February, the beginning of that. Yeah, right. Um, mm. So, Libra, Aries, Pisces, looking forward to the new lightness. Yeah. Lupo says, I'm definitely a work in progress, or so my wife tells me. Yeah, so lovely to hear your comments. And I love feeling how, you're not daunted by this. I love feeling this. I can actually feel it. It's not just your comments. I can feel you all breathing deeply and going, okay, thanks for letting us know, Ashala. And we kind of felt it anyway. And isn't that beautiful? Look at how intuitive you all are. And that we can look at this, right, through that heart bandwidth. It's okay to see this because it makes sense when you see why. And when you see how this is going to support, the renewal. Okay, last card. Center card. Oh, wow. Now, interesting. Are you noticing this, everybody? I'm just really drawn to these two cards being kind of in a line here, right? And we've got that 10 of Wands underneath and the Tower. I really feel there's something to do with the health care system, revelations about the whole everything, right? It's already happening here in Canada. There's been lots of declarations about what happened 5 years ago, and there's just, great awakening going on around this. And you all know what I'm talking about. So it also feels like this is a great, great window for us to wrestle back control over our health practices, over our choices for alternative medicine, the types of healthcare that we want, that we value, that we want more of. So many of these alternative medical practices have been systematically kind of reduced, right? Like, even though they are flourishing because so many people are experiencing a lot of benefit from them, but they are not very often covered with medical service plans. And it feels like our advocacy around our health and everything that impacts our physical health is going to be a big thing to really, I'm hearing grapple with, but also to take back the reins. Because as we go through this, as we go through these big systems coming down, we want to make sure that we're ready to insert what we are replacing that with, or how we want to transition beyond that tear down. So any of you that this is your wheelhouse, step into the front line this week with your opinions, with your ideas. Be heard in that regard. Because it feels like, as people wake up, there's going to be a scrambling to, what do I do about the choices I made 4 years ago? And I feel like any of you that are in any practice of medicine or alternative medicine or healing or any of that nature, this is a time for you to be prepared to kind of catch the fallout. And it's our opportunity to really steer things in a good direction. So that's beautiful to end off with. Because look at this, right? Virgo is about health. So we're going to go through a gateway. And I think I really hear many of your voices where it's like, oh, but we've got all these other big issues, and we want this dealt with, and we want that dealt with, and we want this other thing. And it's like, well, there's a time for each thing. And it's almost better in a way that it happens in stages. And this just feels like a stage that is coming up right now. And this is something that we can sort of focus in on together and not get too distracted, and sort of complete this part of this stage in a good way. So I'm just going to check out your comments around that. And thanks, DigiBean. Feeling for many of our family members. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right. Thank you that the truth is coming out. And isn't this a great opportunity for us? It's almost like they're showing me, the guides are showing me, like almost like doors opening and closing. I don't see necessarily that the doors stay wide open permanently. I don't know what I mean by that, but it's like there's a lot of things opening and closing and opening and closing. Eventually, they're going to stay open. And I wonder if some of that isn't just sort of getting people accustomed to more and more information coming out, so that we don't hit that critical mass chaos that we've been referring to, that would not be good when people go into extreme panic mode. So anyway, this door opening and closing analogy is sort of like, while the door opens, and when I say the door opening, what I mean is around big revelations about truths related to, medical agendas and the healthcare system globally. We want as many of our narratives, especially around alternative healing and taking the reins back on that, we want to sort of get as much out while the door is open, because it does feel like it closes again temporarily, then it opens again. I'm not sure exactly what the timing of that is, but there's some wisdom in it. I'm getting almost like a spiritual wisdom around that is a better way to create effective change, is not to just hammer people with too much information that kind of blows their circuits. So while the door is open, let's charge forth with some good replacements, right? Not just about, yeah, we were right, you guys were wrong, and look at all this stuff, and now you got to hear all of it. Instead of that, more of a, yeah, okay, so realizing that these medical agendas have been not in our best interest. Let's look at all these ways that all these incredible alternative healing practitioners have developed protocols to heal the effects of these things. Beautiful. That's a great way to meet this grand up-leveling awakening that's happening. Well, we made it around the wheel. Kind of challenging wheel, not going to lie, but lots of really encouraging things in it. I just want to take count here with all of you for a moment. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana. So 5 out of 12, less than half. Well, 5 out of 13, less than half, but still more than the ratio of 22 cards out of 78, right? So it is significant, but it's not the big, like it's a big week, but it's not, I want to say it's nothing that we can't handle. It's not so big that it kind of takes us over. And let's look now at the suits. So we've got swords. We've got 2 swords. The 5 of swords and the 9 of swords, 2 kind of challenging swords, let's put it that way. So in terms of thoughts, maybe not spending too much time this week analyzing things because you're really not going to be able to make much sense out of them. Better to energetically work with what's happening. Look at this, not a single cup in this spread, no cups, and only 1 pentacle. So the cups are emotions. We don't have a single cup here. In a way, kind of good. We might have emotional processing. This could be a big energy week, right? Because let's count the energy cards. The wands are like spirit, physical energy, spirit, chi, life force energy. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 wands. So a lot of energy, not a lot of emotion this week. My suspicion is that we're going to catch up in a couple of weeks and have the emotional after response of a lot of this. But this week, it's just a lot of energy. So keep your energy moving. That's breathing, walking, staying physically active. Climb up that mountain or the top of the stairs or whatever it is, right? So that act of keeping the energy moving is going to feel good this week. And in the practical realm, this is beautiful because it means the wise, mature part of us that knows what real value is, what really has value, is kind of calling the bluff of all the rest of our parts that we've been going along in this artificial value system for most of our lives. And this part, most of us anyway, this guy's like the old farmer. He's like, okay, folks, you've been all like living up in your high towers, doing all these things that you think are so important. And so if the food trucks stop, what are you going to do? And the beautiful thing about this is our subconscious for all of us. So we're all being pulled down to our roots of what's almost like what's real, like a kind of a reality check. But it's a beautiful card to have in the subconscious. The subconscious is what is actually setting the tone for everything. And if we've got one of the most grounded, strong, dependable, trustworthy characters in the whole tarot in our subconscious, that's a good thing. That means that some really strong and realistic part of us is forcing us to change the things that are not going to serve us going forward. So I'm happy he's there. This has been very interesting and quite enjoyable. I really appreciate all of you and your energy. I can feel you here. I can feel those of you that aren't commenting. I can feel your love, your presence, your working on yourself, you taking these messages to heart and doing something meaningful with them in your life. So valuable. Every little thing that you're doing to support the greater good of all it's being counted. It counts for something. And I, for one, appreciate it. So have a beautiful week, everybody. Oh, I'm going to sign off by, just bringing your awareness back to, let me do this and then this. Okay, well, we're going to go back to Jens for a sec because, check this out. $10 for this incredible meditation practice with all of these benefits. So check that out. And if you'd like to book a session with me, you can find me over here on the Beyond Mystic Consultations page. I'm taking bookings into next week. So I'd love to see you over there. You can access the coupon code below to receive your discount. And of course, as always, please follow us over here on the Beyond Mystic Rumble channel and like, share, and subscribe on the Beyond Mystic YouTube channel. Good luck this week, everybody. Hang in there. Wishing you all the best. Many blessings. See you next week. Bye for now.